Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hope all of you are doing good. Today we are going to do a end-to-end data engineering project from scratch. I will be explaining everything from scratch so that you can follow along with me. Okay, to do this project, you need to have a AWS account. Okay, you can create a free tier account. It is free tier for 1 year and you don't have to pay anything. If you don't have a free tier account, then this project will cost you less than $1. It costed me around zero point 0.2 cents. I mean, it will be around 10 rupees. That's it. So don't worry about money. Follow along with me, and we will learn a lot of things. I will be explaining all of the services that we are using, that why we use it, what is the purpose of it, so that you learn along the way. Okay. Also, in the description box, I will put the link to create the AWS account. So once you create a AWS account and log in as a root user, you will see this window. Okay, this is the architecture of our project. So we will be creating IAM user. I'll tell you why we have to create a IAM user. Then we will have a S3 bucket where we will put the orders data of a superstore, right? The incremental data we will put and see how we can analyze that incremental data. So that data we will put in S3, we will create bucket folders. Then we will use AWS Glue to run the crawler and create the data catalog. Don't worry, I will explain everything. What is data catalog, what is Glue. Then we will do some analysis on AWS Athena. We will see how we can analyze that S3 data. We can run queries, SQL queries in AWS Athena. And then in the end, we will create some charts using Amazon Quicksight. Amazon Quicksight is just like Tableau or Power BI. It is a AWS product where you can create the visualization. So this is going to be our end-to-end project. We will automate everything and see how we can do it. You only need is AWS account. That's it. Okay. So let's get started. Okay. So when I create a AWS account, I'm logged in as a root user. Now you should never use root user for your development, right? Root user is the owner. You should create IAM users, right? So that those IAM users can log in and create projects for you, right? So for that, we have a service called IAM. IAM is Identity and Access Management, where you can create the users group, roles, policy. We will be creating all of that today, but let's start with the user. So I want to create a IAM user, right, and use that. So let's delete this existing user. I will create from scratch. So let's delete it. Okay. So this user is deleted. I'm going to create a new user. Okay. I'll give it the same name, Namaste SQL. Okay. Now you want to set some password, right? I want to give the console access. There are two things. One is you want to give programmatic access. Programmatic means this person can write some Python script or use Amazon SDK, right, to interact with different services, right? If you want to give console access through UI, you have to check this option and say I want to create a IAM user. Okay, now you can auto generate password or you can say custom password. Okay, so I'll give some password for this user. Okay, and I will just unselect this. I don't want to change it in the next sign in. You can choose it as per your convenience. Okay, so my user is Namaste SQL and I have provided some password. Next, now we can add this user to a group. Maybe we can talk about it later point of time in some other project, but now I'm giving this guy admin access, right? To keep things simple, I don't want to give one access. For this project, I'm giving administrative access, means this user will have all the access, right? Next, and then create user. Okay, so the user is created. You can see the password once again here, right? Now what I will do, I will log out. I will log out and log in as a IAM user, right? So what I will do, before you log out, you have to copy your AWS account. So this is my account ID. I have just copy. I'll just copy this, right? This I need it for login. Okay. So I just copied it and sign out. Okay. Now I will say log back in, and I will say this time instead of root user, I want to log in as a IAM user. And here I have to provide the account ID, right? This is my account ID, and this is my Namaste SQL is my IAM username, right? This is what I created, and whatever password I set there, I will do this and sign in. Okay, so I've signed in now. I'm back to the AWS console, right? So I have a IAM user, Namaste SQL, which have admin access, and I'm logged in now. Now I'm going to S3 to create my bucket. So I will choose S3. So S3 is a kind of cloud storage where you can store all kinds of files, structured, unstructured. It is like a hard drive, right? In your mobiles, you have some drive, right? You have Google Drive. So Google Drive is also on cloud, right? Similarly, you have S3 where you can store any data. So for that, we can create different buckets. So let me create a bucket. Okay. So now when we create a bucket, it is asking in which region. So there are different AWS regions where you have data centers. So we want to create in US East region, and I will give my bucket name, right? So this bucket name is global. So for example, if I give test, right, it will say that bucket already exists. So I'll just show you. So these are some default setting. I'm not going to change it. I'll say create bucket. So when I say create bucket, you see bucket with the same name already exists. Now I have not created test bucket in my account, but because it is a global name S3. So if anyone else has in the world created a bucket name with test, I cannot create it. It should be unique globally. So I will say Namaste SQL. I hope no one else has created this bucket. Okay. So the bucket name is Namaste SQL, and I will just keep the default settings, not going into details, but you can just keep the default setting and say create bucket. Okay, so this bucket is created. Now in this bucket I can store my data, right? So this is by default initial bucket was created, but this is the one I have created, right? Now what I will do in this, I will create a folder name should be orders, because I'm going to analyze the orders data, right? So I will say orders, right? Again create folder. Okay, so I have created a orders within Namaste SQL. Now what I will do, I will go to Kaggle. In Kaggle, this is the link. I'll just again paste in the description box. You can download the orders data, right? Once you download it, I have downloaded it already, and I'm going to show you. So this is the data, my orders data, right? So if you see row ID, order date, there are different columns, right? Okay. Now what I will do, I'm not going to upload all of this data together. I will just pick a date because I want to show you how incremental data we can process, right? So I'll just filter it, data filter, and I'm going to pick one date, the initial date, right? So I'll just unselect everything, go here, January 1st. Sorry, January 1st. After 1st, we have 4th. So let's pick 1st January data. So this is all my 1st January data. I will just copy it, right? Copy it, and I'm going to paste it in a notepad. So this is my AWS account ID. Okay, so this is tab delimited. I will keep it as tab delimited. It is not comma delimited. It is tab, right? So when I copy paste from Excel, it comes as a tab delimited. Okay, so I'm going to save this in the projects folder under documents. So if you see under documents, I have a projects folder, and I will say it orders dot csv or txt. You can put any extension as such, right? So I'll just convert it to all types, and this is my orders underscore one, I will say. Okay, because I have to put more files here. I'll say orders underscore one dot csv, which has only 2017 one data, right? Now what I will do, I will go back here and upload this data into S3. Now before uploading, I want to create more folders. So this data is for which date? 2017 0101. So I will say create folder, and I'll tell you why I'm doing it. I will say snapshot day equal to 2017 0101, right? So I'm going to put 2017 0101 data in this folder. That's why I'm naming it as this. Now the advantage of this, when I create a AWS crawler, I'll show you. Also, if you feel my speed is slow, you can watch it at 1.25 or 1.5x, whatever comfortable for you. Okay, so when I create this kind of structure, the name of my folder, the crawler will automatically picks up that snapshot. There is a partition. Again, all of this I will discuss, but for now you can just follow along with me. create a folder with snapshot day equal to 2017-0101, and I'm going to upload the file under orders underscore 1.csv, right? This is a file we just created. Okay, and I will say upload. Okay, so this file is uploaded. I'll just close it, and we have this file now, right? Now what I will do, I'm going to create a AWS crawler. So I will say glue, right? I'm going to open this service in a new tab. Okay, so this is why, to make sure you are doing everything is North Virginia. So our bucket is also in North Virginia, and this is also in North Virginia, so that you don't face any access issues, right? So now what will happen, Glue is a ETL tool, right? A AWS ETL tool where you can do extract, transform, load. And another thing is, you can also run a crawler and create a data catalog using Glue. So we are not going into ETL today. We are going into crawler and data cataloging. I will tell you how it will help you. Okay. So what, before that, what we will do, we will create a database. This database is not a database in a RDBMS or something. It is just a folder, right? So you are going to create a Glue database. You are just giving a folder name as such, right? So add database, and I will say add db underscore namaste SQL. Let's call it this name and create database, right? So I've created a database, and I'm going to create some tables in here. So I'll go to crawlers, right? Now whatever we have created, right? Whatever we have created, the S3 file, I'm going to create a crawler on that, right? And what it will do, I'll explain you. It will create a catalog. Okay. So let me create a crawler, create crawler. Okay. Let's give it a name. Orders demo or orders project. Right. So this is my crawler name. Next. Okay. It is saying, is your data already mapped to Glue tables? No. We are going to start a new one. Okay. Now we have to say add a data source. So I'm going to add this data source. So I will say browse S3, right? Namaste SQL. And this is my folder where I want to crawl. Okay, what it will do, the crawler, I will explain you, don't worry about it. Okay, and now we have multiple options again here, subsequent crawler runs. So it is asking that every time you run a crawler, do you want to crawl all the folders or only the new subfolders? Okay, so what, in our project we are assuming that all the files of a particular day coming at once, right? So that every time when we run crawler, we run only the new subfolders. You can even choose this crawl all subfolders. It won't matter for this project, so you can choose either of one. I am just choosing crawl new subfolders only. Okay, so add S3 as data source, right? Next, now I have to choose a IAM role. So what is role? So like we have IAM user, where we have created a user and user just logged in and working on the AWS services. Similarly, for the AWS services to work, they need some access, right? So IAM role is used to giving different services access. Now I want to run this job, right? AWS crawler job. I have to use a IAM role for that, using which role I want to run these services. And to that role, I have to give all the access which it needs, right? So I will say, so I have created a already a role, AWS Glue service role, right? Or you can choose create new IAM role. Okay, for you it will not be there, so let's create new IAM role. Okay, so I will call it project or Namaste SQL. Let's call it. Okay, AWS Glue service role, Namaste SQL. So we have created this role now. Okay, we can see this role. So if you see, we have come back to IAM services. Here we have a role, AWS Glue services, Namaste SQL. It has AWS Glue service role, right? As well as it has one more policy, right? Which allows access to S3, right? So these are the two things. One is we are giving this role to run Glue services. Second thing is it created a S3 policy so that it can access everything from this path, right? Because we gave that S3 path, it automatically analyzed that, okay, to run this, to access this S3, to run this crawler, we need access to this, right? This S3. So this role is created. Let's go next. Okay, choose a database. So we created this db underscore namaste SQL, right? And that's it. And then this is a frequency, like you want to run this crawler on demand or hourly or daily. So for now I will keep it as on demand. Okay, so this is all done. We will say create crawler. Okay, I will run the crawler and then I will explain you what it is going to do. So I'll just say run crawler. Okay, so it will show you here crawler runs. I will just refresh it. So see, it is running. So it will take around, I think, few seconds. So what it will do, now your data is in S3, right? Now S3 is just a file, right? If you want to query this data, you should have a information about data, which is metadata, like what are the columns, what are the data types, right? If I know that, then only I can query the data using SQL, right? That's what this crawler is doing. This crawler will crawl over the S3 file that we have given, right? Identify what are the columns, that internally it will identify what is the separator, what is the column name, everything it will identify internally by itself, right? And then it will give us a table. Okay, this will be the table created on my orders file, right? So once it is done, you should be able to see that table here. You should be able to see all the columns, right? But the important thing is it doesn't store any data. The data is in S3 only. It is just creating a metadata that this is your S3 location and these are the columns and this is the table name, right? So once it runs, I will show you that how it shows you. Okay, it is just about to be finished, but let's go to the tables. It is completed, right? Let me just refresh it. So you see this orders is created. Now table name is orders because I gave the folder name as orders. It is also showing you this is the database. It is also showing you that this is a location, also classification CSV, right? And that's it, right? We will see other options later. But if I click on this table, you will see that this is the schema, right? This is the beauty. So it identified the schema, the data types, right? That this is a int type, this is a string type, different columns, right? Now if you go to partitions, right, partitions are very important. So I gave the folder name as snapshot day equal to this, right? So it created a partition already. So if I create one more folder and run the crawler again, it will create another partition. These partitions will help in querying. I will show you when we run query in Athena how it is going to help you, right? You can just click and see which are the files. So it will show you these are the S3 files, right? This is the file, right, for this partition. So you can click on every partition and see, right? So this is, you created a crawler, right? Now what I will do, I will create another folder and run the crawler again to show you something very interesting. Okay, so let me go back, copy this, and if I go back to my sample superstore and check what are the other dates. So if I go here, after first I have fourth only, so let's pick up fourth data. Okay, so let's go back here, create another folder, close it, create folder, and let's call it 4, right? So create folder. Okay, I'm going to copy this data again for fourth copy and go back to my notepad, and I will say file, save as, and let's call it orders2.csv, right? Now in a folder you can have multiple files. It is not necessary that in a folder you can have one file. The file is already opened in notepad. No. Okay, so let's again save it, orders2.csv, and save. So this is saved. Now what I'm saying, when you go to S3, right, and go to this folder, you don't have to have one file. Whatever files it has, it will crawl all the files, right? So I'm going to upload this file. You can have multiple files. You can try out with multiple files. Keep some record in orders2.csv and some in orders3.csv. So this is done. If I close this order to is there. Now what I will do, I will go to the crawler. This is my crawler, right? And say this is the one we just created, and say run. I'm going to run it again. Okay, so this is now running. If I go here, so this is running now. So it will show you all the runs here. If you have scheduled it, it will show the schedule. Let's say if it is hourly or daily, whatever, right? So in ideal situation, what you will done? Now we are running it on demand, but in production you will set a schedule, right? So for example, if your files are coming daily overnight, next day you will schedule it, let's say 5 a.m. That 5 a.m. run it, so that whatever new folders have created, it will crawl again and show you, right? Now you would have seen that option, that crawl all folders or the new folders. Now because I chose crawl only the new subfolders, this time it will crawl only this, because this it has crawled already, right? So it will not crawl this again, so it will be faster. If you choose crawl all subfolders, so it is going to all the folders and crawling again, right? So it depends on your use case, that if the files are updating in the all the folders every day, then you will say crawl all folders, right? But in our case, I am not going to do. I just said that crawl only the new subfolders, right? Now if I go here and see the runs, it is still running. It is about to be finished. So once it is finished, it is done. Let's go to the tables, right? Again click here, and now it will just take few seconds to get refreshed, but it will show you the two partitions. So it just takes few seconds, right? So let me refresh it again. See, the second partition has come now, 4/1/2017. Now, the thing is, if I don't give in this format, if I just say 2017 0104, it is going to create a new column with name partition key, some random name, partition key it will give. Instead of that, if you only give the column name, it's not from day equal to this, then it will create partition with that name. So that is the advantage. Otherwise, you can follow anything, right? So if you go here, view files, it will take you to the this folder, right? So now we have two partitions. Similarly, every day the new data will be coming, new folders will be coming, and every time you run the caller, new partitions will keep coming on, keep coming on. These partitions will help us in running the queries faster. I will show you, right? So now the crawler is created, the data log is created, a data catalog. Data catalog means metadata about the data. Remember, in this table, data is not stored, data is still in S3. This catalog only has the information of all the folders in that S3 location, which is orders, right? Now I will go to Athena. Okay. Using Athena, we can now query this data, right? It is just a data in S3. We have not stored it in any database, but still we should be able to run the SQL queries. So again, my SQL Athena is in North Virginia, right? And what I will do, I will go to query editor. Okay. So if I go to query editor, it will show me. So this is the data source, right? My data source is AWS data catalog. The data catalogs that I have created using Glue, right? That is my data source, and this is my database. So if you have multiple database, it will show you all the database, and this is also showing us the orders table that we just created, right? So I'll just click it. It shows that it is a partition table, right? And it shows all the data type, everything, right? And it has a snapshot day column as well. So snapshot day was not there in our S3 file, but when you create a partition on particular column, right, it shows as a column, right? We will see how we can make advantage of it. Okay, so now I will say preview table, right? So if you see, this is my db name dot table name. Now if you say, if you there is a error, right? Before you run your first query, you need to set up query results location in Amazon S3. So now the thing is, when Athena runs, it stores the result somewhere. So you have to tell that in S3 store at this place, right? So if I go to edit settings, and here I can say that in which folder I want to save the Athena results, right? So I'll go back to the S3 here, and I'm going to create a new folder. Maybe in this bucket or any other bucket, I'm going to create in this bucket, and I will say Athena logs, right? Or Athena results, anything. Create folder, right? So I have created Athena logs within Namaste SQL. Now I will go here, browse S3, Namaste SQL, and give this as the location. So Athena, every time I run a query, it will store my results this place, right? So this is done. Let's go back to the editor and run the query now. Okay. So I'm going to say run, and you can see the query results here, right? Right, all the data like SQL normally, right? The way you run the SQL, you can just simply run now, right? So for example, if you want to see sum of sales by category, right? So you can say sum of sales, right? I'll just remove this limit, and you can run any complex queries, right? Group by category, right? This is really beautiful because you have not stored data in any database. It is just in your S3, and you, with the help of the data catalog Athena, you are able to run the queries, right? So if you run it, you will see the results, right? Office supplies this much, technology this much sales, right? You can do any analysis, right? So I can alias it as category sales. Okay, so now you have created, you are able to do the analysis, right? Now one thing I want to tell, how the partitions can help you, right? So what I will do, if you see, it says that data scanned is 5.47 kb. Now what I will do, I will run a normal query. So I will say select star, and we will see how much data it has to scan, right? If I do run, it says data scanned is 5.47 kb, which means it is scanning both the folders. I will show you how. So if you go here to orders, okay, what is the size of your file? It is 2.5 kb, right? And what is the size of another file? It is 3 kb. So it is around 5.5 kb, right? It is around 5.5 kb, and this is what overall is scanned. So it is scanning all the folders, right? The moment I put the snapshot filter, so I will say where snapshot day equal to 2017 0101, and let's see how much data it will scan, right? So you see, it says 2.52, right? Which means it is scanning only this folder. It doesn't have to go to the other folder. That is the beauty, right? Once you created a partition key, it knows exactly where to go. So the moment you said snapshot equal to this, it is not going to scan the other folder. It is just going to scan this folder, which is 2.5 kb only, right? Which is 2.5 kb. If you see here, 2.5 kb. It means your queries will run faster, it will take less time, and data scan will be less, which means less cost, right? So whenever you have to create a partition in a way that it suits what kind of analysis you are going to do. So if I want to analyze on particular snapshot day, I will always put this filter, right? And if I put this filter, I'm going to reduce the scan, which in turn will reduce my cost and reduce my time. Okay, so this is about Athena. We created Athena. We can run any queries on this data set. Now let's move on to the Quicksight, right? In Quicksight, we can create charts. So I will go to Quicksight. Quicksight. Okay. Okay. So once you land on the Quicksight, you will not have any account, right? So if you don't have any account, it will ask you to create an account. I already have an account, and this is my email ID. I'll just enter it. Okay. So once you land on the Quicksight page, you will see that you don't have account. So you have to create an account first, right? When you are creating an account, you will get 1 month free subscription of Quicksight. You don't have to pay anything. You can create a standard edition. They are enterprise edition and all. You can just choose the standard edition. That's it, right? So once you create that, you will end up on this page, Quicksight page. Here you have different options: dashboard, analysis, data sets. So what we are going to do, we are first going to create a data set, right? So if I do any analysis, I have to choose that on what data I want to do analysis, right? So I will say data sets, I'll say new data set, right? I'll say Athena because I'm going to query from Athena, and this is the Athena work group. So if you go back to the Athena, we are working on a primary work group. So you can create different work group, but this is the primary one, right? So I'll just say I want to choose from the primary work group, enter the data source name, let's say orders. Okay, validate connection, create data source. Okay, so now it says that it is showing me AWS data catalog just like it shows me in the Athena, and it is showing me the table as well, right? So I can just say select. So I want to select this data from orders table. Now here you have two options, right? Import to Spice for quick analytics and direct query for your data. Now if you are from Tableau, it is like live versus extract. If you have worked on Tableau, so this is your live, means every time you create a chart, it will read data from Athena in terms it will read directly from S3. So anything has changed, it will directly show you, right? But if you import it, it will import the data and you have to refresh the data again. So let's say a new folder has come, right? In your S3, you have run the crawler. If you have chosen import to Spice, it will not directly show the new folder data here. You have to refresh the data again. Why it is important? Because it will make your analytics faster. When it import the data into Spice, it will create your chart faster, right? If you directly query it, then it will be little slower because it will every time go and get the data for you. We will say import to Spice for quicker analysis and say visualize. Okay, and this is some default setting. You can just say create for now. Okay, and now you can create the data, right? But there is one problem I will show you, but let's try to create a data. Okay, so now here in the quick site, it shows you different types of charts, what kinds of charts you want to create, right? You see there are different kinds of chart, and here in the bottom you can choose that what dimension you want to create. Okay, so let's go with a simple bar chart. Okay, so I'm going to create a bar chart. Let's close it for now. And in the y-axis I want category, so I'll just drag and drop, right? And I want sales, right? I'll say sales. So it says import completion and I'm going to create this sales. Now one thing is you might face, so another thing is it is a auto save, there is no save option, right? You once you make any changes, it is auto save is on, right? Now another thing is you might face the issue, you might not be able to query this, right? So what you have to do, you have to go to the settings, account, okay, not this one, one second, manage Quicksight. Sorry, you have to go to manage Quicksight, right? And then you have to go to the account settings, okay? And your subscriptions. Wait, I just forgot. Security and permissions item. Yeah. So here in security and permissions, you go to manage, right? You have to click on manage and you have to allow access to all the S3 buckets. So I'm accessing Namaste SQL, which I already gave access, but you might not have, so you will face the error, right? So what you have to do, you have to choose this, right, and say finish. So you are giving QuickSight the access to access the you are giving access to access the S3 bucket, right? So let me just save it, okay, and let's go to the QuickSight. And this analysis we just created, orders underscore analysis, right? So if you see, this is created, so this is my analysis, right? I have created a simple bar chart. You can again play with it, create different kinds of chart, but you can do your simple analysis here. So this is your analysis, this is not your dashboard. Now in your analysis, in one you can create multiple charts, right? I can say add let's say another pie chart. Okay, let's create a pie chart, right? And then I can just choose city. or let's say city and profit, right? I'll do a complete video later on this, but for now you can just choose this, right? And you will see there is one more chart created. So there are two charts. Now you can publish this as a dashboard. Okay. So this is done, right? And you will say publish. I think I'll just close this. Okay. And you can just reduce the size. The size is little big, right? So you can create the dashboard. I'm not going into details how to do it, but you can just create a dashboard out of it, right? So you say new dashboard. So orders analysis, right? And all sheets selected, publish dashboard. Okay, so if you see, this dashboard is created. So its dashboard is only a read only mode of your chart, right? You can share with other users. You can click here, share, right? Share dashboard, and you can give access to different users in your organization, right? And this is your dashboard. There is no edit option here. If you want to edit it, you have to go here again, go to the analysis. So if it will show you in your dashboard now, see, this is the dashboard. If I go to analysis, I can do some changes here, right? Whatever changes I want, I can publish it again, right? When I publish, it will ask publish as a new dashboard or replace as existing. I will say replace existing. Okay. And publish dashboard, it will just replace again the same dashboard, right? So this is how you can create a chart on your data, right? So this is really beautiful, right? We created from scratch how to read data from S3 and visualize it in Quicksight, as well as how we can query using Athena. My favorite part is Athena because I don't have to store this data somewhere in the database, right? For quick analysis, I can just upload to S3, run a crawler, and run the queries on it, right? This is really beautiful. I hope you like this project. I'm going to create more project if I get good response on this video. So please do like this video, share with your friends, and let me know if you have any other doubts. Okay? Have a good day. Thank you so much.